What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about why I am getting Diablo 4. This is a series I do where I talk about an upcoming game and talk about whether I'm getting it, not getting it, or am somewhere in between. And for Diablo, this was always a very quiet, of course. Of course, I was always going to get Diablo 4. But this is easily one of the biggest games that I've stayed relatively quiet on. Now, I do plan on making a few more videos as we get closer to it. And then when the game comes out, do something with the game in terms of coverage on the channel. I definitely will do that. And this really also is kind of the start of this big June release. You had things like the PlayStation Showcase, and you're going to have Summer Game Fest, which comes after Diablo, and the Xbox event and Ubisoft. But there's also big games in June. Now, I guess Street Fighter 6 comes first, so that kicks us off. But you got Diablo, you got things like Crash Team Rumble, the full-on release. You got things like Final Fantasy 16. June is no joke. June is a really, really big month and sets us up for a really great, I'd say, second half of the year as well. But again, for as big as Diablo 4 is, I really don't talk about it much. So very briefly, let me just kind of walk you through where I am on Diablo, and that is extreme excitement. One thing I wanted to do before the game came out was to play one of these early access beta things, okay? I don't even keep up with it, to be honest with you. So I know there was closed beta opportunities if you did certain things. I don't even know what those things were. But, I had heard about the server slam, right? The idea that they're just going to try to nail the servers as hard as they can so everybody just kind of jump in. And I had tried. I was ready for this last one that they did. I was ready to jump in and say, okay, I'm legitimately going to give this a shot. Not that I need it to prove anything to me, because for me, I've always looked at Diablo kind of differently, I assume, than most people that play it. Diablo 3 is a game that I love. I played it for 52 hours. At least that's what my PlayStation tells me I played it for. But I remember playing it. It's a game that, to me, I can shut off my brain. I can grind. I can do this, honestly, very highly addicting gameplay loop, and I can kind of also do whatever I want on the side. I remember playing Diablo 3 in my room. I was probably maybe in the first year of college, and I would listen to music. It was actually in my very early Smashing Pumpkins era, so I would just listen to Smashing Pumpkins albums on my laptop and play Diablo 3. I was living the life. Honestly, that was a really good time. That's what I used it for, because it is so highly addicting. It's so much fun, but here's the thing. Here's the catch. Here's what I did with Diablo 3. I played it one time. I played it with one class. I actually can't tell you the class because I don't remember it myself, but I played it as one class, and I didn't really do end game content. I beat it. It took me 50 hours to grind to the end and whatever level I ended up on and defeating the final boss, and that was it. Cut. Finished. And that's where I ended Diablo 3. Now, 4, I do think I'm going to do it differently because I want to experience full on what Diablo is. See, I think honestly Diablo 3 was like whetting the appetite, it was getting myself ready for, because that was the first Diablo game I ever played. So now it's okay, I know how they operate. Granted, this game really does seem to be pushing things even better. Visually, it looks absolutely fantastic. The way they kind of dynamically change between telling a story and talking to different NPCs, or kind of when the camera swoops in for a little cutscene and then it pulls back out, and then you're back kind of in the thick of things. I love it. I think dynamic is the word at least I will use. I think it feels very dynamic, very fluid. I really like even that small little change that they've added to it. But this will be the first one that I intend to, well, not only play it through as one class, but hopefully play it through as many classes. I mean, I think the idea with Diablo, right, is that repetitiveness. Playing it as more than one class, respecking, because there's different ways of playing as a certain thing. So in the beta, or in the whatever it's called, Server Slam event, I played as the sorcerer, but again, getting my feet back into what Diablo is, you realize, oh, well, there's several ways to be a sorcerer. You know what I mean? It's not even just beat the game once as a sorcerer. You could beat the game 3 times and play very, very differently just as one class. And then there's more than one class, right? So the amount of gameplay that's going to be there, and this is not new. This is not a new thing for people that have played Diablo games, but kind of for me, it's like, okay, this is what Diablo is. You're supposed to play it. You're supposed to play it more than once. You're supposed to kind of experiment with what kind of this specific class you want to be. And then even when you beat it, there's more stuff to do at the end. Now there's these, dynamic kind of events, one of which was in the Server Slam that I did not participate in, but I plan on it when the game comes out. The game, to me, seemed more fun when I was playing it with others. I actually played Diablo 3 strictly alone, so all by myself, just played it through single player. for this game in the server slam, I did play it by myself. There was a couple times where I would run into, in the open world or whatever, I would run into a couple of other players, around the world, and we would kind of fight organically together, and then we would split off. That was some of my favorite time with the beta. So I actually want to do that more. So by the way, quick little throw in, if there's anybody out there that plays Diablo that would like somewhat of a new player to be part of their squad, I'm up for it. Just let me know in the comments, or we can get together, message or something. But I do want to play it with other people because I think that kind of adds to it. You have a dynamic with other classes, so it's not just you. I think it's just more fun, at least what I experienced in the server slam. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped not because, obviously, again, it's one of the biggest games, I think, of the year, period. I also think, well, in terms of June, Street Fighter kind of kicks us off, and then this game comes right after. But the amount of time that I think you can put into this game is enormous. And this time, I don't think 52 hours is anything low. I think that's nothing to be ashamed about with my playtime for Diablo 3. But this is a game easily. You do that 4 times, and you could even do that with one class, right? And there's 200 hours. You still have the other classes to play as. So it's insane how long I imagine Diablo 4 is going to take. Now, and one final thing I want to throw out there. I am going to be keeping an eye on the business practices because, the last Diablo game, I guess official, full-on release of Diablo didn't go so well in terms of the marketplace and a lot of the kind of nature they did there. I'll be flat out honest. As you probably can tell from, what you've heard of me so far, I'm kind of like an outskirts, fan of Diablo. I want to play it, but I'm not too deep into it. As long as it's, the gameplay loop is, it's going to be repetitive, but that's okay. But as long as it hooks you, I'm in, and that's how I intend to play this game. So I'll be keeping an eye on it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to go after them, and probably rightfully so, for some of the monetary things that they attach to the game, whether it's at launch or maybe they're going to hide it for a couple months, right? And then they will launch it, a couple months later to kind of hide from it. I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure it'll make people very upset. I'm sure I'll probably even cover it on the channel. It doesn't stop me from playing it, but it's not because I think that it's okay. It's because I don't really care. And that maybe comes off a certain way. I don't know. But that's why I'm buying the game. Everything else can happen to it, and I'm sure things will happen to it that will be good and bad. But I just want an incredibly good repetitive game that I really don't have to think too hard about, because honestly, I didn't think too hard with 3. I didn't think too hard with the server slam. I think I do pretty good. I think I know what things to kind of put the upgrades in and how to play as your class. I feel like I can fit in relatively well, so I don't have to think. I can listen to podcasts and other things. It's that kind of game, at least to me. And it's the kind of game that's going to last months. So if I want to take a couple weeks off, I'll take a couple weeks off. Then I'll jump in. Maybe I'll play as a different class, right? That to me is the beauty of this game, and I haven't had that since Diablo 3. And again, Diablo 3, I didn't play that way. So I'm excited to do it for this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.